April the 11th, 1945, I make a deal with the Buchenwald concentration camp. We're standing on a street corner in Weimar, Germany. Weimar. That's where Hitler's got started. That's where he got started, in Weimar, Germany. Down the road, there was a prison camp. We didn't know this, but we were staying there. I forget now, we were in Weimar, and we were waiting for a couple of tanks to come up to go with us. We were supposed to go together with them for the liberation of the Buchenwald concentration camp. Well, a guy came along about that time. We were standing in a corner. An officer came along and he says, I got a problem. He said there was about a dozen trucks parked there. He said, those are my trucks. And he said, I got supplies going down to this camp. And he said, I'm short a couple of drivers. So my buddy John says, oh, we'll help you out. So we told the guys there, it says, if those tanks come, or if the captain comes around, tell him we're down at the prison camp, we'll be back shortly. So this guy says, yeah, you won't be gone more than half an hour or so. Yeah, so it's okay. So we went down, and they told us about this camp down there. And he says, you got blankets on your truck. We said, okay. So we got in, we went down, we were about the third truck, I guess, second or third. We went down, and when we got there, they were just throwing these big open gates. There was a bunch of guys pushing them and opening the gates. We pull up there, and the MPs come up, and the one MP says, after the other two trucks went in, the MP says, what do you got? What do you got on the truck? We said, we got blankets. He said, okay. I don't remember whether he gave us a map or, no, you don't think so. He said, go to such and such a place and such a building. It's a warehouse. When you get there, just pull in, back up to the dock, and there will be some guys, if they're not there now, they'll be there shortly to unload your truck. Okay. So we went, and after we pulled away, we weren't too far, we were only half a block from that big gate. We start driving away, and about another half a block, and we all got sick, just like that. The stench that hit us, it was just, dead bodies. We look ahead of us, on each side of the street, on each side of this road, was bodies stacked this high. By the hundreds, as far as you could see, bodies. And the reason there were so many bodies there was just because they had run out of fuel at the crematorium. They couldn't burn them anymore. So they just stacked them up. So we were deathly sick. We got so sick. And then we went down there, and lucky for me that when we got down there, we met this, I think he was a sergeant, and he had a clipboard. Sergeants always carry clipboards. And he had this clipboard. And he says, okay. He says, you guys got the blankets? We said, yeah, okay. Just back her up there. And he said, well, we'll unload them. And then when you leave here, when we unload them, you go back to the main gate, go outside, and wait for the other trucks. When all your trucks get there, then you go back to Weimar. Fine. So then he said, this is what saved me. Then he says, what's your name? I told him. He said, what's your rank? I told him. He said, what outfit you with? I says, 80th Infantry Division. Okay. He said, sign here. So I signed that. My buddy, John, what's your name? 80th Infantry? Yeah. He signed here. That didn't mean a thing to me at that time, but a year ago, last year it did. Last year, they had a reunion at the camp, a reunion, and they took all of these names that they could find that were involved in this Buchenwald. We signed in those blankets. And they had that in their records. Don Schoo and John Stoken, they were here. We know they were liberators of this because we got their names. So they didn't, when I got the notification that I was getting an award for being a liberator of the Buchenwald concentration camp. They told me, we didn't have to look you up. You didn't have to prove to us that you were a liberator. We got it right here. So that's why I got that medallion, because I was at the Buchenwald concentration camp on the day that it was liberated, and it was such a gory mess. People were walking around naked, and if they had clothes on, it was not enough to. It was just straggling, you know. So we walked about a half a block, and there was some Army nurses there, and ambulances all over the place. And there were some engineers or somebody, and they were setting up tables. So I went over to this nurse, and I said, what gives? What's with the tables? She says, well, you know, or you're supposed to know, that these people you can't feed them. They're so bad a shape. If you feed them, it might kill them. You can give them some water. That's what we were told at the gate. You can give them some water, but you hold the canteen, because if you hand it to them, they'll have to chug-a-lug it, and they'll get kicked. If a cigarette or something you want, give them anything, but no food, no food. I said, okay. So I said, what with the tables? She says, you see these people standing around? You see those people laying over there along that building? There's two different groups. There's the people that can and the people that can't. These guys that can walk around, we'll have them walk by this table, and we're going to give them a shot, a vitamin shot, and then mark their hand. Those people over there, there's some other girls coming, and they're going to go around to these people that are laying and give them a shot and then mark their hands. As these people get these shots, maybe for 2 or 3 days, that will stimulate them enough to get them so that they can at least get up and walk around a little bit. Down the road, do you see that down the road when we look? There's a big tent down there, like a circus tent, and it had a big red cross on it. She said, that's a field hospital. They're just completing it right now. They're bringing beds in there right now, setting them up. And as these people get a little bit better, we can't keep them here in these barracks because there's nothing but crap and nothing in these barracks. The barracks there, no electricity, no running water, nothing. Dirt floor. And some of them had a little straw in there, not much. And each barracks was supposed to have about 20 people in there. They had 150. Yeah. So she says, when they get to feeling a little bit better, we'll take them down there and put them in that hospital. And then when they get better down there, then we take them out of there and fly them to hospitals around the area. And so that's what but because I was there on that first day, I got that medallion. And if I live to be 100 years old, I will never forget the day that I spent at Buchenwald concentration camp. Hell on earth. I saw it, I smelled it, and I'm still doubtful. Anybody, how can anybody treat another human being that way? They've got to be a monster. The commandant of that camp was Ira Koch. Ira Koch. She was known as the bitch of Buchenwald. Her husband was the commandant, and he died. So Hitler appointed her as in it. This is the kind of woman she was. In her, I didn't see this, but I know people that did, and I've read stories about it. Ira Koch, she had lamps in her office, lamps with skin, human skin on them, human skin. She'd see a prisoner, she'd like his tattoo, she'd have a guard take him, kill him, cut off his tattoo. I don't know how they fixed it and made lamps. She had 2 or 3 lamps in her office made of of human flesh. But she didn't get by with it. Ira didn't get by with it. She didn't get out of the camp, and they caught her. And she was sentenced to death. But before they could kill her, she committed suicide. Or she died. So that was the end of Ira Koch. And that's it. That's as far as we go. Okay?